Morning, Tommy, she whispered. Morning, Mrs. Higgins. Was she okay? Tom asked, his heart in his throat as it always was. Slept like an angel. Her breathing was a little raspy around 4, but I gave her a puff of the blue inhaler like you showed me. She's watching cartoons now. Tom let out a long breath, handing Mrs. Higgins a crumpled $20 bill, the last of his cash for the week. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Oh, hush. Go see your girl. Tom unlocked his own door, 3A, and stepped inside. The apartment was tiny, consisting of a microscopic kitchen, a living area that doubled as Tom's bedroom, and one small bedroom for Lily. The walls were thin, the paint peeling, but Tom kept it meticulously clean. Daddy! A tiny blur of pink pajamas barreled into his legs. Tom dropped his bag and scooped Lily up, burying his face in her messy brown curls. She smelled like baby shampoo and warm sleep. For a fleeting second, the terror of the eviction notice, the exhaustion of the night, and the bizarre encounter with the billionaire CEO melted away. Hey, Bug, Tom smiled, kissing her forehead. Did you be good for Mrs. Higgins? Yes! I drawed you a picture. She wiggled out of his arms and ran to the rickety coffee table, holding up a piece of construction paper covered in crayon scribbles. It's us. And Mommy in a big house. Tom felt a painful lump form in his throat. He took the drawing, tracing the crude stick figures. It's beautiful, Lily. I'm going to put it right on the fridge. As Tom walked to the kitchen, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a text message from his landlord. Last warning, Miller. Have the $4,000 by 5 p.m. today, or the locks get changed tomorrow morning. Tom gripped the edge of the laminate counter, squeezing his eyes shut. $50,000. He had held salvation in his hands, and he had given it back to a woman who had offered him $100 to disappear. A bitter, agonizing regret clawed at his stomach. Had he been a fool? Had his morals condemned his daughter to homelessness? Outside on the street, 2 stories down, a sleek, jet-black Mercedes Maybach pulled silently to the curb, violently out of place in the rundown neighborhood. Sitting in the back seat, hidden behind heavy privacy tint, Amelia Adler stared up at the grimy brick facade of Tom's building. The rain had intensified, washing down the tinted glass in sheets. Her phone vibrated on the leather seat. It was Chloe. Miss Adler, I have the file you requested on Thomas Miller. Chloe's voice came through the encrypted line. Read it to me, Amelia commanded, her eyes never leaving the 3rd floor window where a faded curtain hung. Thomas James Miller, 32, no criminal record, credit score is abysmal, massive medical debt. He has a 6-year-old daughter, Lily. He works 3 jobs, maintenance at Vanguard, a daytime warehouse gig, and weekend food delivery. Amelia frowned. It was the perfect profile of a desperate man, exactly the kind of man someone would bribe to make a dead drop. What about his connections? Who does he know? Chloe hesitated. Miss Adler, there's something else. I dug into his marital status. He's a widower. His wife died 2 years ago. Her name was Sarah Miller. Amelia's blood ran ice cold. She sat up straight in her seat. Say that again. Sarah Miller, ma'am. She was a junior data analyst in Vanguard's accounting department. She died in an unsolved hit and run just 3 weeks after she filed an internal grievance report regarding missing funds in the logistics division. Amelia felt the air leave her lungs. Sarah Miller. She remembered the name. 2 years ago, Amelia's CFO, Richard Caldwell, had personally brought Sarah's grievance to Amelia, dismissing it as a disgruntled employee's mathematical error. Shortly after, Sarah died, and the investigation vanished with her. Amelia's mind connected the dots with terrifying speed. Richard Caldwell. Caldwell was embezzling. Caldwell was the one framing Amelia with the drop in the garage. And Thomas Miller, the husband of the woman Caldwell had likely murdered 2 years ago, just happened to be the janitor who intercepted the blackmail money. Was it a coincidence? Amelia thought wildly. Or did Thomas know? Is he playing a long game of revenge? Before she could process the thought, Amelia's sharp eyes caught movement in the rearview mirror. A heavy, unmarked black Chevy Tahoe turned the corner and parked aggressively, partially blocking the alleyway next to Tom's building. The doors opened, and 2 men stepped out. They weren't cops. They wore dark raincoats, their postures stiff, hands resting unnaturally near their waistbands. Fixers, corporate muscle. Amelia recognized the taller one instantly. It was Silas. No, wait, his name was actually Cole. He was Richard Caldwell's personal security consultant. They were looking up at the third floor. They were here for Thomas Miller. Caldwell knew the drop had been intercepted. He knew Tom had seen the money in the note. Caldwell was tying up loose ends, just like he had with Sarah. "Chloe, hang up!" Amelia snapped. "Miss Adler?" Now, Amelia killed the call. She looked at the partition separating her from her driver and bodyguard, a former Special Forces operative named Jensen. She could tell Jensen to handle it. She could tell him to drive away and let Thomas Miller suffer the consequences of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was the smart, ruthless CEO move. Protect herself. Protect the company. But the phrase on the card flashed in her mind. Or, the girl pays the price. Thomas had a 6-year-old daughter up there. Amelia Adler had climbed to the top of the corporate world by leaving her conscience at the door, but she was not a monster. She wouldn't let a child die because of a war inside her own boardroom. "Jensen," Amelia said sharply. "Yes, boss?" The two men entering the building. "They are hostile. Neutralize them quietly." Jensen didn't ask questions. He unbuckled his seatbelt, slipping a suppressed firearm from his shoulder holster as he stepped out into the rain. Amelia didn't wait in the car. She grabbed her leather trench coat, her encrypted phone, and a small, high-voltage taser from her bag. Pushing open the heavy door of the Maybach, she stepped out into the freezing Chicago rain and walked purposefully toward the peeling front doors of Tom's apartment building. Upstairs in apartment 3A, Tom was heating up a can of soup on a hot plate when he heard heavy, unfamiliar footsteps echoing on the wooden stairs outside his door. They didn't belong to Mrs. Higgins. They were heavy, synchronized, and deliberate. The footsteps stopped right outside his door. Tom froze, the spoon clattering against the metal pot. "Daddy?" Lily asked from the floor, clutching her crayon drawing. "Who is it?" "Shh," Tom hissed, his parental instincts screaming. He grabbed the only weapon he had, a heavy iron fireplace poker he used to prop open the broken window. He stepped in front of Lily. Suddenly, there was a loud, muffled thud from the hallway, followed by a sharp gasp and the sound of a heavy body hitting the floor. Then, another thud against the wall. Silence fell. Tom gripped the iron poker, his knuckles white, his heart hammering against his ribs. Then, 3 sharp, deliberate knocks rapped against his door. Thomas Miller, a crisp female voice, called out from the other side of the wood. A voice he had just heard hours ago in a billion-dollar lobby. "Open the door. We don't have much time." Tom slowly unlatched the chain and pulled the door open. Standing in the dimly lit, foul-smelling hallway, flanked by an unconscious man in a raincoat, was Amelia Adler. Rain dripped from her trench coat, her green eyes blazing with adrenaline and calculation. "Miss Adler?" Tom breathed, utterly bewildered. "What the hell is going on?" Amelia stepped past him, forcing her way into the cramped apartment. Her eyes swept the room, landing on the terrified little girl clutching a drawing. The cold, corporate Ice Queen exterior shattered for a fraction of a second, replaced by a fierce, undeniable urgency. "What's going on, Mr. Miller?" Amelia said, locking the deadbolt behind her. "Is that you are holding the missing piece to a corporate murder. And if you and your daughter want to live to see tomorrow, you are coming with me right now." Tom stood paralyzed, the heavy iron poker trembling in his grip. The tiny, dilapidated apartment felt like a pressure cooker, the silence broken only by the violent drumming of rain against the single-pane window and the ragged sound of his own breathing. Amelia Adler did not wait for an invitation. She moved with a terrifying, calculated efficiency, stepping past Tom and kneeling on the scuffed linoleum floor right in front of Lily. The little girl shrank back, clutching her crayon, drawing to her chest. "Hello, Lily," Amelia said, her voice dropping the icy boardroom edge and softening into something remarkably gentle. "My name is Amelia. Your daddy and I need to go on a very fast, very important trip. We need you to be as brave as you can be. Can you do that?" Lily looked up at Tom, her large brown eyes wide with fear. Tom dropped the poker. His mind was struggling to process the sheer impossibility of the moment. Miss Adler, the men outside. Who are they? Why are they here for me? Amelia stood up, her green eyes locking onto his. The softness vanished, replaced by an intense, burning fire. They aren't here for you, Thomas. They are here to tie up a loose end. 2 years ago, your wife, Sarah, filed an internal grievance at my company regarding an 8-figure discrepancy in the logistics accounts. Tom felt the blood drain from his face. The room seemed to tilt. Sarah's accident, the police said it was a drunk driver. There was no drunk driver, Amelia stated, her voice brutally honest. The man who orchestrated the embezzlement is my chief financial officer, Robert Caldwell. He had Sarah silenced before her report could reach my desk. Now, he's trying to frame me